Hello everyone and welcome to RTP Overtime, the show where two people enter and two people leave because it's not a death match. We're just arguing a little bit about a subject. So the other day, John and I, and Lou a little bit, but Lou's not here today, got into a little bit, we can call it an argument, it was more of a debate about who's the best coach in NFL history. And I was on the side of Billiam Belichick, and you were on the side of one Don Shula, who, it's a great choice. Like, let's be real. You cannot disparage either of these guys in the pantheon. They're the first two faces that go up on Rushmore, right? I just happen to believe that Belichick gets first bidding. Now, Shula, in the politics of the Mount Rushmore, might get put up because he's older and he's going to die soon, or whatever. But Belichick, I think, is a better coach overall, and today, that is the debate. I will let John open with the first salvo. He will be arguing on behalf of the great Dolphin, Don Shula. Please take it away, oh beardly one.
Yeah, so for me, head coaches, okay, let me start this over. We define quarterbacks by rings. The rings define it. Everybody always calls Dan Marino the best quarterback to ever play the game and never win a Super Bowl. There's always that caveat. What there isn't that caveat with is head coaches, especially if we're going to talk about the greatest of all time. And the reason that I say that is because head coaches are judged by their wins. And when we're talking about the greatest of all time, we're talking about guys where we have to include guys that were coaching when there were only 14 games played during the regular season and when there was no Super Bowl. So that comes into play when I'm discussing greatest of all time. The number one column for me is the number of wins. And Don Shula's got 347 total career wins. Now he's won the Super Bowl twice. He's been there 5 times. I understand Belichick's got him beat. But Don Shula's averaging 10 wins a season.
They say, actually, well, it's a little bit over. He coached for what? I have 33 years. I think people say 34. Or more. He's got 347 all time, so it's pretty close to 10 wins a season.
And a good portion of that was during a time when there were only 14 regular season games.
I mean, these are all valid points. However, I will count his championship in 1968 for his total champions, which would give him 3 rings. Overall, I'm willing to give that. Now, Belichick, of course, he's got 4, may have more before it's over. I get that. I get all of that. But I just think that he's got 347 wins. It took him 34 or 35 years to get there. Belichick has 246 wins, and he's been coaching for 20 years, and 4 of those were with the Browns, are objectively worse than Don Shula's bid with the Colts of Baltimore back then. Now, both have 13 11-win seasons, which is tied for the most all time. They have the most 11-win seasons of all time with 13, meaning that Don Shula literally capped out at 10 wins quite often, because 11 or more wins, of course. Right. Again, only 14. Bill Belichick can pass him this year, of course, and every year moving forward. And I think he's going to pass him this year in 11-win seasons, and he'll be the sole operator at the top at 14 and counting. Belichick also has the best record in December, which doesn't sound like a big deal until you remember that's a playoff push month. And this is in the most... and I know that since Don Shula is the Dolphins coach and Belichick is the Patriots coach, I also put into account this is also the most wins with just one team. Just throwing that out there. In December, of course. He's 56-13, which is 81%. That's not bad. He was a head coach for the Browns between 91 and 95. If you remember the 90s, Browns still weren't good. So it's fine. He has a career record of 246 and 123 as of today. I could be a little bit wrong. Maybe it's 247. I don't remember if I added yet the other day's win, which is a 66.7% win percentage. Shula has a 66.5% winning percentage. So 0.2% difference, of course. And he went 36-44 in Cleveland, so he even had a losing record there. And of course, he has the most postseason wins all time at 23. Shula only has 19 total postseason wins, and he had 33 games to Belichick's 36, meaning it's not that big a difference between total wins. And if he got 36 total games and he won those, he still wouldn't have more. Just saying. So that's why, just record-wise, I consider Bill Belichick better because, of course, he's still on his trajectory. He could quit tomorrow. He seems like the type of guy who would just be like, you know what, I'm done. And he wouldn't chase after the record. But extrapolating forward, he would definitely pass Shula. Definitely. So
I think he's probably going to end up passing him. And in my mind, passing him in the win column is the only way he's going to topple Shula as the best coach of all time. There's one other, let me tell you. Now, obviously, I'm extremely biased in this entire discussion, having been a Miami Dolphins fan my entire life. And growing up,
Bill Belichick was a Lions receivers coach in the 70s, so which I didn't know until researching this.
So my father started following the Dolphins because of Don Shula, not because he was a Dolphins fan. I grew up in Western New York. We're supposed to be Bills fans. But he fell in love with Don Shula when he was in Baltimore and basically just followed him to Miami and became a Dolphins fan ever since. So Shula was a god in my household. That's just how it was. Now, what my bias causes to have happen is in my mind... Oh, let me ask you a question first. 2007. Sure. What was the New England Patriots regular season record?
Oh, fuck, I don't remember.
16-0, right?
Oh, that was the 16-0 record. That's right. Yeah, 16-0.
How many playoff games did they win?
2.
How many
they lost the Super Bowl.
How many Super Bowls did they win?
They lost the Super Bowl that year to the New York Giants and David Tyree.
So what was Bill Belichick's record at the end of his perfect regular season?
It was 18-1.
18-1. Guess what Don Shula's record was at the end of his perfect regular season?
Was it 18-0?
It was 17-0. 17-0. Let me tell you another statistic about that year in 1972.
Sure.
Bob Greasy was their starting quarterback, and he rolled his ankle in the first game and was captained for the rest of the regular season and the playoffs by Earl Morrall. So he did it with a backup quarterback.
See, Earl Morrall was a god in my household growing up, so which is a lie. I don't know who that guy is. Well, they won like 11 games with Matt Castle once.
They did?
I'm going to assume Earl Morrall's better than Matt Castle. Just even as a person.
I'll probably assume that too. But here's the thing with that. So once Bill Belichick proved that he couldn't finish on a perfect season, the only way he will pass Don Shula in my mind is in the win column.
Wow. Does he have to... What if he runs off another perfect season?
Okay. If he runs off a perfect season... regular season, but loses the Super Bowl to the Giants for the third time?
Let's say he wins the Super Bowl.
All right. If he rattles off a perfect season, I'll give it to him.
Man. Yeah, he's... I want to add another thing, and... It's because of the way the nature of the NFL is today. When Don Shula was there, it wasn't like a free agency situation. It was, these are kind of your players, which is good. You kind of got to coach them up. But that turns into a system-based thing, and kind of like college football, where you see like Alabama just gets the best recruits, and therefore they're the best. That's just kind of what's been happening recently. And I wouldn't say Nick Saban is a master tactician. He just punches people in the mouth with his superior athletes, which is fine. That's winning football. That's great. Miami's kind of a situation like that, where you got a really, really nice destination to go. You can get the new players, whatever. As long as you're good at drafting. Of course, they ended up getting Marino at one point, who was pretty good. I will say, though, Belichick is the master of the plug and play. He can make any player productive at a certain spot, no matter who they are. I think, man, I I think he could make Trent Richardson fantasy viable. I think that's how good Bill Belichick is. He could make the whole blind Trent Richardson a viable running back in fantasy week in and week out. That's how good Bill Belichick is. On top of that, I believe in 2 years, that's a Jimmy Garoppolo-led team, and they're winning a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. That's my belief. I think Tom's on his way out. He says he wants to play forever, but Bill Belichick is the king of cutting ties with people he loves. He's like a disgruntled teenager in that way. It's really fantastic. And also, he has probably the best coaching tree I've ever seen. I mean, you look at guys on his squad right now, like Matt Patricia, the defensive coordinator, literally a rocket scientist. Literally. I can't make that up. Like, that's just the type of guys that he gets. Josh McDaniels went, tried his own thing. He didn't like it, came back. Now they have the best offense in the league again. It's crazy. So I'm just throwing it out there, man. I think he's the best head coach in the NFL and probably the best ever.
I think he is the best coach in the NFL and what probably will be the best ever. But to get it over my speed bump, he's got to get the win column.
Okay. Who had the better fashion, though?
Oh, definitely Don Shula.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Bill Belichick always looks like he just woke up.
Right? Bill Belichick looks like he never prepares for anything, and he just kind of rolls out of bed, and he's like, well, I don't know, Tom, throw the ball at Julian. And it works out. It's great. Love Bill Belichick. Don Shula's he was all right. Was he in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective? Is he still coaching then?
Yes. Dan Marino.
Dan Marino definitely was.
Yeah, he was still coaching then. He stopped coaching in, I think, 95 or 6.
95 is the year I have. I don't remember when that was, but anyone that makes a cameo in Ace Ventura: Pet Detective is all right in my book. So who do you think is the better coach? I'm pretty sure I'm correct. Don Shula can eat a dick, but he would probably be the best ever at eating dick. He would eat the most dicks. He would eat more dicks than Bill Belichick, and then Bill Belichick, for years, would be considered the second best dick eater.
Yep. It's 347 dicks. That's all he's got to get to.
That's so many.
That's a lot of dicks.
Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl, 'cause we're the Miami Dolphins. Miami